Straight all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What's that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today we are on a topic that I told you was coming. It was one that I was surprised to find out I had not addressed yet. It is the law of inertia. We are going to discuss this fully in today's masterclass. So before I do that, I'll tell you all I have a daily motivation text message that I send out free of charge to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. All you got to do to get this message is text me at my number 305-384-6894, and tomorrow morning when I send that message out, since you're in my text community, you shall receive the message. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com is your next step to work with me directly. If you already know you're ready to go to the next level with me, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. While you listen to today's episode, my options for coaching are there. All my courses are inside of the university, and also I send out 2 physical mailings every single month to everyone who is in my university: the Bulletproof Bulletin and also the Black Book. If you're watching this on video, you see the Bulletproof Bulletin right above my shoulder here, and the Black Book also I'll be sending out every single month. Those are all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Now getting to the topic, the law of inertia. The definition of inertia is a tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. Also from the Encyclopedia Britannica, they say, and before I get into that, it was just the fact that I've talked about inertia many times here on the show. When I talked about momentum, I talked about stagnation, I talked about why people don't really change a lot in life. Generally speaking, as a general rule, most people don't change. And I've talked about inertia and how it works. Today I'm going to just go on the record for my full explanation of the law of inertia, so that anytime in the future I mention inertia, I can just reference this episode. So here's what the Encyclopedia Britannica says, quote, the law of inertia, also called Newton's first law, postulate in physics that if a body is at rest or moving at a constant speed in a straight line, it will remain at rest or keep moving in a straight line at constant speed unless it is acted upon by a force, period, close quote. Now, as I've spoken about inertia a lot, but didn't have a full masterclass on the topic, again, I'm filling that void with today's masterclass. So let's get into it. I don't have to give too much more background on this, so you can understand exactly how the law of inertia works, why it exists, how it is affecting you on a daily basis, and it is, and how you can start using it to your advantage. Because the law of inertia is a law. Laws are not positive or negative, they just are. You need to understand them, you need to learn how to use them and work within the confines of them so that you can get to where you want to get in life. This is part of playing the game. Let's get into it. Point number 1. Topic, once again, is the law of inertia. First, let's talk about stagnation. All right, this is one end of the spectrum of the law of inertia. Okay, so the law of inertia has 2 ends. One is that an object doing nothing keeps doing nothing, and the other is an object doing something keeps doing something. Okay, so now we're talking about the nothing. We call that stagnation. That's the common term. When nothing's happening and you don't see anything changing, we usually call that stagnation. Okay, let's talk about that first. In episode 2164, I explained to you why you are stagnating. If you have not listened to that episode and you feel stagnant right now in life, listen to that episode so you can maybe decipher why it's happening, so then you can maybe do something about it, which you should. The reason that people stagnate by law, again, this is not Dre's theory, this is by law, is that it's easier to continue to do nothing or continue to do the same things that produce nothing. This is a key phrase. Than it is to do something different. It's easier to do nothing or keep doing the same stuff that doesn't work than it is to do something different. All right, that is why the law of inertia is a law of inertia, because this is what most people do. Most people do what's easiest to do. Human beings are lazy. We are creatures of habit as well. And it is much easier for us and much more preferable to most humans, actually most more preferable to all of us, actually, most of the time. Some of us fight against this, but it is more preferable for us to just keep doing something that doesn't work, that we are sure about. I'm sure that this doesn't work, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. It's easier to do that than it is to do something that might work, but we're unsure about. Everybody catch that? I want you to rewind that last sentence and listen to it again. And let me just say it again. It's easier to keep doing things that don't work, but we are 100% sure exactly what we're going to get, mediocrity or worse, than it is to do something that might work, but it comes with some, we're not sure exactly how things are going to go. Most people would rather just stick with the thing that they know about, even though they know it's not getting them where they want to be. So if someone's making $50,000 a year, for example, which is roughly the average salary in the United States, it is easier to keep doing the thing that will make you $50,000 a year than it is to try something different that might make you $100,000 a year that you're unsure about. So if I offered the average person $50,000 a year and you're 100% sure exactly how things are going to go, or $100,000 a year, but there's a whole bunch of things that you're not sure about, a whole bunch of question marks in the process, the average person would take the $50,000. Now you might think, Dre, what idiot would take $50,000 when they could just take a little bit of unknowns and get the $100,000, get double the money? Well, this is why, because the law of inertia is a law. All right, that's why. All right, that's all you need to know. Now, again, some of you, that concept sounds silly, but it's 100% true. Remember that the law of inertia is a law, L-A-W. It is not a theory of inertia, it's a law. This is why I can confidently state that most people, by the end of puberty, which is usually somewhere between ages 18 and 25, most people become a certain type of person and they never change ever again until they die. Everybody get that? Most people become a certain type of person by around puberty, let's just say age 21, let's say. That's when your involuntary growth ends and they never grow or change in any other way after that. Okay, so $50,000 a year, according to DQYDJ.com, $50,000 a year will put you in the 53rd percentile, not the top, but just the 53rd percentile of income earners in America, whereas $100,000 puts you in the 82nd percentile of income earners. Most people would rather stay at $50,000 and know exactly how it's going to go than go for the $100,000 and have to deal with some uncertainty in the process. All right, this is just a law, okay? Usually that period that people don't change until death is somewhere between 40 and 70 years. So someone's 21 years old, they live until they're 61 or 91, and they're the exact same person at 75 that they were when they were 32. Why? Because the law of inertia. This is what it is. If you're over the age of 30, anybody listening to this right now, you're over the age of 30, most of the people who you went to high school with, if you ran into them today, are the exact same person they were in high school. The only difference is they are older, fatter, and uglier. By law, people do not change. This is the law of inertia. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the law of inertia. Again, tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. Now let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. This is momentum. This is the other side of inertia. And again, neither of these is necessarily good or bad. This is just a law. It's just what is. How you use it determines whether it's good or bad. Actually, there's not even that. How you use it and how you feel about how you use it determines whether it's good or bad. Your feelings determine good or bad. What you do does not determine good or bad. So definition of momentum is the impetus gained by a moving object. This is the other side of the law of inertia, the other end of the spectrum, the other side of the coin. When you have momentum on your side, you tend to keep doing the same things that are moving you in a certain direction, and you will continue doing them until or unless something slows your progress. Something changes your momentum, alters your momentum. And momentum, again, momentum can go in a negative direction too. You can be on a sports team that just keeps losing games, and y'all will keep losing games until some outside force changes the energy of the situation. Like we talked about good players versus difference makers. Let me tell you what episode that was. That was episode number 2079 and 2080. The difference maker is the person who can change the direction of that team that's losing. You can be on a winning team that keeps winning until some outside force causes that team to stop winning. So momentum is not necessarily a positive thing. It just depends on what direction that momentum is taking. You could be going downhill when you're not trying to go downhill. All right, it's not a good thing. All right. And although we can't always keep our momentum going when things are working great, sometimes some outside force that we don't control slows our progress. All right. The good thing about momentum, though, is that we can manufacture it. You can create momentum. I discussed how in episode number 1324. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to it, How to Create and Maintain Momentum. And again, every episode in the history of the Work on Your Game Masterclass is at workonyourgamepodcast.com. We are actually in the process right now of moving material off of our previous site, not the Work on Your Game podcast site, but I have every episode listed at dreallday.com. We still have dreallday.com, but we're moving it to a different platform. So off of WordPress onto a different platform. So any of those individual links that you might click on and from previous episodes, those links may not work, but every episode is always at workonyourgamepodcast.com. And once we move everything over, then we'll have new links for you to be able to click on individual episodes and all of that. That is all coming in the future. I'll also give you a framework and a journal, by the way, for making momentum happen in your own life every single day by design. It is called the Mental Workbook. If you're watching me on video, you see the Mental Workbook right here. And if you're not watching on video, let me tell you where to go get it. Go to workonmygame.com/workbook. workonmygame.com/workbook. You can also go to thirddaybook.com or mirrorofmotivation.com. Get either one of those books for free. And on the second page of those funnels, after you order the first book, I'm going to offer you the Mindset Super Bundle, which is going to be 8 to 10 books, depending on which one of those books you got. 8 to 10 books that I will send physically. Mental Workbook is one of them that will come in that package. So if you are a type of person who reads more than one book, and I'm guessing that you are, go to mirrorofmotivation.com, get the Mirror of Motivation. On the next page, just say yes to this Mindset Super Bundle, and I'll give you all of these books, 10 of them all in one package. Now, as we continue, one of the best ways to maintain momentum in life is to surround yourself with the energies and the spirits of others, i.e. people and objects, that are on the same wavelength of what you want and where you want to be. You want to maintain momentum or create momentum, you need to get around other people who are already having, experiencing, and creating the momentum that you want to have. This is also known as the Law of Association. I talked about the Law of Association in episode number 1880. I want you to understand something about these laws, is that they all work together. They work in conjunction with each other. They are never, ever in conflict with each other. The laws never are in conflict. So the Law of Inertia and the Law of Association will never be in conflict. They will never contradict each other. If you believe you have found a contradiction between the two, it's simply a misinterpretation on your part. The laws are not in conflict. So it will be wise for you to know what each one of these laws is, like the Law of Association, the Law of Momentum, the Law of Stagnation, the Law of Inertia. These laws, you need to know what these laws are so that you can work within them. The Law of Attraction is another one that we talked about here on the show. You need to know what these laws are so you can work in concert with them, not work against them, because you will lose if you work against these laws. This is also why you hear phrases like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Why? Because both the rich and the poor are working with momentum. It's just the momentum is just taking them in two different directions. One is making someone more rich, the other one is making someone more poor. This is why in my line of work, for example, and it's hard to put what I do specifically in a box, but I would say what I do is work with people on their personal and professional development in many different ways. Any kind of challenge any person could possibly have, I've worked with somebody who has that challenge. So in the personal and professional development realm, I'm looking for people who are already in the mindset of understanding the value of investing in their personal and professional development, investing in themselves and investing in making themselves higher level people. I'm looking for people who already understand it, because with those people, I don't have to convince them that it's worth it to make an investment in themselves. You get it? Now, while there is a small percentage of people who don't have the mindset of investing in themselves, who eventually do get the mindset of investing in themselves, I wouldn't bet a lot of money on being able to make anyone be something other than what they already are. I wouldn't bet too much money on that. I wouldn't stake my business on that. My business, I'm looking for the people who already get it. And let's get to work. I'm not looking for people who don't get it and trying to help them understand it. I'm not in that. That's not my department, not my line of work. Especially if I'm talking about somebody who's reached adulthood. Now, if you're 16, 17 listening to this, now you have potential because your mind isn't fully formed yet. But someone who's 21, 25, 27, I'm not trying to convince you to be anything other than be who you are, all right, wherever you're at. All right, so if you're mediocre, you can stay mediocre. The Law of Inertia if I had to bet money on who you're going to be, you're probably going to be the same person 10 years from now that you are today. I would bet money on that, any adult. That's just what it is. If I had to bet money, I would bet money on 1,000 different adults that most of them are still going to be the exact same person 10 years from now that they are today. I'm going to be wrong on about anywhere from 25 to 50 of them are going to be completely different. I'll be wrong on those. I'll lose on those 25 to 50, but I'm going to win on the other 950 to 975 bets. And if I bet the same amount on each person, I'm going to come out the winner. You get what I'm saying? If there was a way to actually bet on that, I would bet money on that. That would be a great investment, because most people don't change. Even though they say they want to change, they don't. And again, there are many people who, let me back up. I talk to people often who are over the age of 21, we're talking adults, who clearly lack sound plans for what they are doing. They want to do something. They say they want to do this thing or that thing. They do not have a clear plan for how they're actually going to do it. They are actually going about it usually completely wrong, because they don't know what they don't know. But at the same time, these people are not interested in learning or doing anything other than what they're already doing, even though what they're already doing does not work. This is the law of inertia. What I just explained to you is the law of inertia. People doing something that does not work, it's clear that it does not work. You can show them that it does not work. They know that it doesn't work, yet they would rather keep doing that than do anything different. Why? Because they rather stick with the thing that they know that is mediocre than take a chance on doing something different that would take them to a higher level, 10 times level. That's the law of inertia right there. It is the momentum of mediocrity. Okay, so you hear this word momentum, excuse me. Momentum does not always mean something that you want. You can have momentum doing things that don't work. Any of you ever know anybody who got addicted to a drug, any kind of illicit street drug, or became an alcoholic? All right, there's momentum in that. There's a momentum towards alcoholism. There's a momentum towards being a drug addict. There's a momentum to be addicted to gambling. There's a momentum to being addicted to pornography. There's a momentum to negative things that can destroy you. So momentum doesn't always mean something that you want. So there are many people out there who buy books, they buy courses, but don't actually apply what they read or learn in the book or the course. So they feel like they're doing the right things, but they don't actually change in any significant way, even though they're reading the books. They don't do anything, nothing changes. They're the same person 10 years from now. You know that most self-help material is sold to people who consume the material but don't actually apply what they consumed. Do you know that most books that are purchased on Amazon are bought as gifts? And that most books that get purchased don't get read past the second chapter? Do you know that most courses that get signed up for do not actually get completed? So any of you who has a course and your course is 12 modules, the modules 11 and 12 can be completely blank, and most of the people who buy your course won't reach out to you and complain because they never actually get to module 11 or module 12 because they never finished the course. These are actual facts. Any of you writes books, you can write a 250-page book, and the last 100 pages leave them completely blank. You're gonna get complaints from some people who actually do read the book, but a bunch of people are gonna buy your book, tell you that they bought the book, be excited about the book, and never reach out to you and say, hey, the last 100 pages are blank, because they never read the first 150 pages. That's a fact. This is the law of inertia, folks. The self-help industry, the personal and professional development industry, most of the sales go to people who do not apply the stuff that they pay for. This is a fact. The fitness industry. Most of the fitness industry's money, the $33 billion industry is the fitness industry, most of the money that is exchanged is coming out of the pockets of people who do not actually do the stuff that they pay for. They hire a personal trainer and don't actually do the workouts. They hire a nutritionist and don't change how they eat. They buy some new workout gear and don't actually use it. They buy a treadmill and it becomes a hanger where they put all their dirty clothes in the garage. This is the law of inertia. Everything I'm explaining to you right now. If we, people in the personal and professional development industry, if we only sold our stuff to people who actually apply the information, the industry would be a lot smaller than it is, and there'd be a lot fewer participants. There would still be money to be made, let's be clear. There'd still be money to be made, because as a matter of fact, the people who are able to spend the most money on personal and professional development are those who do actually apply the material. But there'd be a lot fewer potential customers and a lot fewer potential clients, and there'd be a lot fewer salespeople, a lot fewer practitioners, because it'd be hard for a lot of these people to survive because they can only sell to the people who ain't doing nothing, not the people who are actually doing stuff, because the people who actually do stuff are going to take in your information and actually apply it, and if it doesn't work, now they're going to hold you accountable, and then you're out of the game. Different conversation for a different day. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the law of inertia. Number 3, The most important understanding about the law of inertia is that you must develop the ability to move yourself to action. That's what inertia is about. It's about being able to change your state on call. That's what the law of inertia is about. So that means if you have momentum going in a direction where you don't want to go, you have to develop the power to stop your momentum going in the wrong direction and go in the other direction. That requires energy. If you are in a position of stagnation and nothing's going anywhere, you must develop the ability to create your own energy and create momentum where there is no momentum. That requires energy. This is the key understanding you have to have about the law of inertia. You have to have the ability to change your circumstance via your own energy at the snap of a finger. The longer it takes you to change your energy, or to change stagnation or momentum into stagnation, whatever, the longer it takes you to change your energy, the longer you will suffer under circumstances which you do not want. That's what happens when you cannot change your energy, when you cannot get momentum, or inertia rather, working the way you want it to. As I've stated already here, most people live for decades. Not weeks, not months, decades. You know what a decade is? 10 years, right? Decades of their lives under unwanted circumstances, not because they don't realize that the circumstances are unwanted, but because they are unable and unwilling to muster up the energy to change the circumstance. That is how you use the law of inertia. Or it's not even how you use it, it's your understanding of it, and understanding that since it's a law, if you have momentum going in the wrong direction, you must do something to change it. And if you have stagnation, nothing's happening, you must do something to change it. You have to do something. Do is an action word, it's a verb. Listen to episode 2278 about how to change your energy and get the law of inertia working on your orders instead of you being under the orders of the law of inertia. So even though these things are laws, doesn't mean that they control you. You need to learn how to control them. You got to learn how to control the law of association. You learn how to control the law of attraction. Learn how to control the law of inertia. And if you don't learn how to control them, they shall control you. All said, let's recap today's class, which is the law of inertia, a tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. As Britannica said, this is also Isaac Newton's first law. In physics, that if a body is at rest or moving at a constant speed in a straight line, it remains at rest or keeps moving in a straight line at constant speed until or unless it is acted upon by an outside force. Point number one, first talk about stagnation. All right, the reason people stagnate is it's easier to continue doing nothing or continue doing the same things that produce nothing than it is to do something different. Most people rather stick to $50,000 a year with exactly what they know than to take a chance with some unknowns and make $100,000 a year simply because of the law of inertia. You run into somebody, if you're over the age of 30, you run into someone you went to high school with, they're the exact same person. The only difference is they got older, fatter, and uglier. By law, people do not change. Number two, the other side of inertia is momentum. That is the impetus gained by a moving object. This is the other side of the law of inertia. When you have momentum, you tend to keep doing the same things that are moving you in a certain direction, positively or negatively, and you will keep doing them until or unless something slows your progress. When you're in a state of momentum, you usually get into a state of flow, which is not always necessarily a good thing, but you can decide for yourself. In the mental workbook at workonmygame.com/workbook, I explain you how to create your own momentum and decide in your life what you want that momentum to look like. So momentum can take you in a positive direction, it can take you in a negative direction. You just have to decide what you want to do with the momentum that is in your life. I often talk to people who are adults, people who are over the age of 21, don't have clear plans for what they're doing, but they're not interested in doing anything other than what they're already doing, even though it has led them no further than mediocrity. This is the reason why I can confidently state that most people in life do not change. Most self-help material gets purchased as gifts. Most self-help material that gets purchased does not even get fully consumed. Most books don't get read past a certain second chapter. Most courses do not get completed when people sign up for it and take them. That is where most of the money in the industry goes, in the healthcare industry, in the fitness industry. Exact same thing. People pay for stuff, don't actually use it. People pay for some kind of operation because their body's in terrible physical shape, so they get a gastro bypass. I forget what those things are called. I don't even need to know what it's called, and I don't want to know. They get that, and then they go keep eating shit right after that. They pay for something that is allegedly going to make them better, and then they keep doing the same stuff that got them in a bad spot in the first place. People do this their entire lives. I'm just using that thing as an example. Number three, the most important understanding about the law of inertia is you must develop the ability to move yourself to action, to change your circumstances at the snap of a finger, at will and on call. Most people don't have this ability. Actually, let me back up. That's incorrect. Everybody has this ability. Most people do not utilize this ability. This is why most people do not change in life. That's why I can confidently state, you gave me 1,000 people at random and said, Dre, bet on where these people are going to be 10 years from now. I would just bet blindly that all 1,000 of these people are going to be the exact same people 10 years from now that they are right now. I'll be wrong on about 25 of them. The other 975 I'll be right. I'll bet the same amount of money on each one of them, and that's a winning bet. I would do that for the rest of my life. That'd be my retirement plan, because most people do not change. All that said, text me and tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And secondly, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. If you are serious about taking your game to the next level, you're serious about doing something different, you're one of those 25 out of 1,000 who does actually change, get better, and improve in life. You're not just talking about it, but you're serious about doing it. Come to workonyourgameuniversity.com, and we'll see. Work on your game. Dre all day.